Hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my review of Cyber Manhunt 2 New World. Okay, so we're going to front load real quick. A bit of high drama, but this game deserves it. This is the second time in 1 week I am saying that I'm not given to hyperbole, except this is the other end of the scale, where I played probably the worst game of the year. This is easily one of the best games of the year. If you are subscribed to me and you're looking for recommendations, those gems, those diamonds in the rough, those things that you probably won't find because you don't sweat deep enough because you're a normal person and you rely on me finding you these games, take it at the onion of trust, at the top layer, that you don't need to see any more of this video when I say, without exaggeration, this is one of the greatest narrative, investigative, I don't know what else you want to call it, but we can put it in the narrative-driven category, games that I have ever played. So I would actually implore you, against the performance of my channel and all that nonsense, stop the video, drop everything, go buy this game and go in blind. It's only going for $15 Australian, and I think it's on a deep sale as part of its launch anyway, so it's absolutely no money comparatively. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, I will proceed. For those of you that aren't convinced and haven't clicked off and heeded my advice, I will talk to you a bit more about this game and be very cagey about footage and what I give away. And as we go on, I may drop some general themes that are covered in this to further nudge you to get off the fence and get this game. It's really that good. So, the caveats and the qualifiers. It is in early access, so it's not fully released. I think there's something like 3 chapters, and I think maybe in the finale it'll be 5 or 6 chapters, and each of these cases are going to take you hours and hours to do. When I review a game, I do it against an objective standard, where for every $5 Australian a game asks, I basically cover it for an hour in return. Like I said, it's a low water mark to even everything out, and so I can compare things fairly. So yeah, at $15 for 3 hours, is it worth your time, worth your money? Absolutely. I've put 3.5 hours in, and to give you an idea, the tutorial probably took me about half an hour, and the first story pretty much took up the rest of the other 3 hours. Plus digging around for, you can sort of continue investigating a case beyond the scope, but it's just that compelling and interesting, and I can't even begin to describe. There are peripheral mysteries that pop up that you want to solve. So yeah, I haven't even touched the other 2 main big stories that are part of early access, but it doesn't matter. I can tell you right now, even if you played what I've played, 1 chapter, it's worth every cent spent. Even if they shit the bed and turn out to be somehow bad, which I very much doubt, it's still all good. What even is this game? Well, it's a sequel, and I covered the first game when that came out, but in a different time for the channel. I'm pretty sure I did like a 30-minute overview. I enjoyed the novel mechanics, which is to say it's kind of like Hollywood hacking a la Hacknet, but more in the investigative space. So you're trawling through things like people's email accounts. You're playing an AI, which is sort of just a stand-in to kind of make you dispassionate and remove you from the human element, which I think is kind of clever actually, because, you know, there are moral and legal issues, arguably, of just scrolling through people's personal details to solve a mystery. No matter how pure your intention, you're pretty much tasked by a company, and the moral weight of that is outsourced to your handler, right? You're an AI, you do what you're told. So you scrub through people's emails and Facebooks, and you do these sort of light hacking, and there's a social engineering bent to it as well. You can phish. You can sort of do some near future tech of voice modulating people. So you've got these AI tools that are questionable that you can use to maybe fudge phone calls with people and things like that. But yeah, ultimately the core of it is going through all these web pages and email apps and chat logs and trying to piece together what's happened and solve the mystery. It's not for the faint of heart. This has got to be one of the darkest, most heavy-duty thematic things that I've ever come across, dealing with themes that I can't talk about because of YouTube limitations, but along the lines of sexual assault with the R word leading, if you can figure out what that means. But beyond that, you've got all sorts of other stuff that I don't even want to touch on because I went in blind and had no idea, and you really should as well. And as much as I roll my eyes at all these soft pricks these days that need trigger warnings on anything, if anything needed a trigger warning, it'd be on this. This is some really grim, it really does deal with some very dark material, but dare I say it's done very tastefully. Like, I'm not pursuing it out of morbid curiosity. It's one of those things that, like, for justice, I need to see it through. I need to solve the case and tie up loose ends because there are people that are wronged on such a level, and you're just trying to figure out, and the twists and the turns and the layers, and it's so well constructed. Not in a million years would I think something like this would exist. In gaming narrative at all. Forget current year, forget anything like that. And it's coming out of, I think they're called Aluba Studios. I'm going to have to go back and look at the first game again as well. But they're a Chinese studio. It's survived translation, so everything is against it. And they're not held back by bloody, let's call it, social norms of the soft West. I'm not necessarily saying this game's really based and going out of its way to be political or anything like that, but I just feel that the tender nature of the safe space development area, which is Western studios, would not ever allow something like this to exist. And I nearly fell out of my chair multiple times as the rabbit hole just goes deeper and the mystery gets darker. So yes, look, I'm talking in platitudes, I'm gushing relentlessly, I know, but it is the only real way to talk about this. I went in kind of blind, I had no idea what I was in for. But yeah, I've given you the broad ideas. There's a little bit of sort of hacking and cracking nodes and that sort of stuff, but I think the best example is something like Hacknet. While that focuses more on cracking ports and hacking, same sort of thing. Narrative driven with a Hollywood version of what is probably much more complex in real life, like investigating people's accounts and trying to solve cyber crimes, but it's much more accessible, but very, very tricky. It'll make you scrunch your brain. It will Dark Souls you out, right? There will be points where if you can't figure it out on your own, you're not gonna get any further. So yeah, if you're soft emotionally, or even when it comes to games, you're gonna have a problem with this. But this is so strong. I'm so happy to have basically stumbled onto it. The devs were good sports and shot me a key because I'd covered their previous game before. Not that I was expecting it to be bad, but I didn't even know what to expect, and it wasn't this. Will I play through the rest of it? Yeah, very much, very likely. I don't know, I might restrain myself and wait for full release. But again, even just reviewing it on those first few hours of entry level is totally valid. I am so blown away by the quality of this, and I don't need to gush any further and go around in circles. Anyway, that's enough gushing and talking in platitudes. This game is really, really good, and I am well documented as someone that hates visual novels because they don't have any gameplay, and this is actually, even though it might look like a visual novel, it is very gameplay intensive, and I'm very skeptical about all things writing in current day. So for me to recommend this is incredibly high praise. Anyway, team, might just leave it there for the time being. I'll catch you guys on the next one.